First and foremost, the Methodist Church in Zimbabwe want to thank you for many things that you are doing for the church home. We want to thank you for donation of 2 motorbikes. The one that was sent to Ndolwane, far down in Matabeleland, Bulawayo district, and the other one was sent to Murewa Circuit. People are very happy about those things. We also want to thank you. Last year, when COVID was at its height, we sent a call from Macedonia and you responded very fast in March last year, and you sent us some money that managed to see us through in the process. COVID. We also want to continue thanking you for assistance that you are giving to our students at UTC, some hampers and cash. Students and the lecturers also, we want to thank you very much for that kind of a gesture, and even many gifts that are going to Methodist Children's Home. We also want to thank you even for the gifts and also for the resources that are going to the Youth and Children Ministry. We want to thank you. When Dr. Dube shared with me about this coming together of the people with the intention of the church in the UK to respond to the call from Macedonia and also the need to assist the church in Jerusalem. I remember I was preaching about the Jerusalem church, the center, the home of the missionary work of Paul and Barnabas and others. There was need in Jerusalem, the center of the gospel, and people in diaspora to raise the resources for that purpose. So I'm also coming in the context, but it's very important for me to briefly share with you what is happening home, then also share with you the challenges, the joys that we have, the challenges and what the church has also done in trying to mitigate the challenges. Since 2009, we entered into a multi-currency, and by 2017, the Zimbabwean dollar and the US dollar were 1:1. But now in Zimbabwe, we have got 3 exchange rates. And with the one is called the official rate that we have now, which is now 1 US dollar is equivalent to over 190 Zimbabwean dollars. That is the official rate. Then the second one, they are calling it willing buyer, willing seller. It's also a rate that is done by mostly by people who are selling their goods and services in different places of business. Then you also have the parallel market, or called the black market, which was called parallel or black, but it has proved that it is not the market, or it is now the financial institution which is not controlled by the Reserve Bank. And this market has seen that 1 US dollar is now equivalent to 460 Zimbabwean dollars. From 1977 to around 2020, MCZ was receiving grant from Methodist Church in Britain, and by 2020 it was around £45,000 that we were receiving. The grant was assisting the church to run the connectional office, to assist in the payment of UTC fees, assist the disadvantaged circuits, retired ministers, ministers' widows, and also the evangelist widows, medical aid as well. All these things were being assisted by this grant. In addition, the church has also been receiving what is called the Nationals in Missions Appointment Grant. This was a grant that was coming to specific officers. For example, when the church appoints someone to be in a specific office to lead the mission of the church, would apply for a grant and will be given the money to fund that officer. And for example, we've got what we call the Resource Mobilization Officer, the Parliamentary Liaison Officer. All these monies were given, but it's coming to an end this year. UK also had been giving scholarship for both groups of people and also individuals. Many groups went to Kenya, to Korat, Africa to train. The bishops went to train, the principals, not secretaries, the chaplains were trained locally. And in addition to this, they were also sponsoring ministers for further studies which also saw me going to MCZF to do my studies. And during that time, they were sponsoring about 7 people doing PhDs and 2 masters. But now they've stopped this. They've got 1 individual that they are sponsoring. Once that comes to an end by next year, that will be the end. So you can see that the grant for the church has ceased because of COVID, and also by the MCB is trying to re-strategize its mission. So all of a sudden, we lost £45,000 that we've been receiving. We could not also even receive money through national missions. We also even lost resources, money in terms of the scholarship, even for training. And also, this loss was actually a very big challenge to the church. The church also get money through the schools levy, but the coming of COVID-19 destabilizes schools in general, and schools are also struggling, and the church is also equally struggling because the fee structures, the socio-economic situation in Zimbabwe is not favorable. The church also receives money through what we are calling centralization, because we say every second is given a certain percentage of depending on their capacity and capability to contribute to the connectional office. And the centralization is used for about 7 major issues. Number 1, to pay for the stipends of all ministers, and also to pay payee, which is the government tax. We also pay the medical aid, the pension, to pay the NASA, to pay the group funeral scheme, and above all the districts, when they gather resources, they are supposed to send the money to the connectional office, and the connectional office then now give them what we are calling the district float. So they give us, and we also return the money. And these circuits are given these levies according to their ability. Like, for example, a circuit in Gwai or Olpane who pays the least amount, they are paying about 6,500 bond, which when we are using about what our scale now, we just divide this by 190, 6,500 divided by 190. This is what they can afford to pay. And once they pay this, a minister, for example, who is in Gwai, after paying the 6,500 bond, the minister's benefits will get about 41,734. And this includes the money that is paid by the church for the medical aid, for the stipend, for all for everything else towards the minister. The money from centralization goes back, like I said, and our monthly cost as the connectional office is about 11.2 million, which translates to around 60,000 US if we are using about 1:190. 1:190. It translates to about 60,000 US. That is our total cost. But the budget that we give to the centralization is about 7.5 million, which translates to about 40,000 US. But what we receive, the actual receivable, we receive about 4.2 million. What it means is the cost is the actual cost, 11.2 million. The budget is 7.5, but we receive 4.2. The reason why we cannot budget more than what we use is because most of the time circuits, because of the challenges of continuous drought and the cost of living, circuits never reach the target. So we also try sometimes to use resources from that we find from schools to try to augment the gap. Since the circuits struggle when ministers are getting meager allowances, the church contributes 100% medical aid for them. We have been to First Mutual, which has been the service provider, but from December, they were increasing their premiums almost every month. And this was a very big challenge to the church. So we then moved from there and we joined what we call the self-funding medical aid scheme with a the Bonvi medical aid. And the advantage of having this medical aid scheme is that as a church, we are able to contribute. It's a medical aid that does not lapse once the month comes to an end. At least we are able to move for some time. And each month we are supposed to pay about 4.2 million, which is equivalent to 22,105. And this money should come from the stipends, from the standardization, which are supposed to be coming. Whereas the standardization itself is the one that is struggling to reach the connection office. So after every month, we also remain with the challenge to say, where do we get the money to foot the bill for the medical aid? So right now we've got we are in arrears of more than 3 months. If we were still moving with First Mutual, it means by now ministers won't be having medical aid. But because we have moved to the self-funding, we are still enjoying this benefit, paying as and when we can get it. Our students at UTC, we now pay fully as the church, and our last semester, the charge was 64,113. So 164,000, we thank God that through, by God's grace and also wanting to move ahead, we managed to clear these fees using some resources from the schools, some resources that we're fumbling around. But next semester, it will be something else. We need also 64,000. It will be a bit lesser because we had some arrears. But next year, we'll be having about 47 students who will be in college, meaning to say, even our budget for training is also getting high. The church also is supposed to pay 10% of its income to Matthew Children's Home. We are also supposed to pay monthly the retired ministers. We also give allowances to students at UTC. We also even pay the ministers' widows and also the less privileged circuit. We need also to take care of them. Above all, we also need to train. Training is also at the center of the church. And the needy areas that need funding is number one, the UTC fees is really a big issue. And according to our human capital planning, we have realized that in 2051, we'll be having over 90% of ministers retiring up to by 2051. More than 90% of ministers will be retiring. The biggest challenge that we have is because of the cost of living, these ministers, we have got more than 300 ministers now. Most of them will be retired, but they cannot manage to buy stands. They cannot manage to have a decent accommodation. So in order to prepare for their retirement, we had suspended the pension scheme. We took it on board so that it won't continue to accumulate, so that both the arrangement was when a minister retires, we calculate to say, if the minister was paying, how much could he or she have paid? Then you paid Old Mutual, then the minister is paid accordingly. But one conference, for example, will be having 36 ministers retiring in one conference. Then the question is, where do we get the money for those ministers in one time? So we said that better we resume the pension scheme so that people can actually be assisted. We also tried in a way to bring about $10 US per minister as a way of trying to prepare our ministers to say, when you retire, the church will give you a gratuity of 5,000 US. It's also a way that we are also moving. Whereas we've got all these challenges around, we've got also projects like the project of the Southern African Methodist University. We thank God that they are now given environmental impact certificate to start doing the work. And so this is the challenges what we have. But the church also is not sitting to look at the things happening. We have done quite a number of things. And first of all, in 2020 conference agreed that we must buy the vehicle for the presiding bishop. When we bought, we were supposed to pay the rebate. And when we applied for a rebate, we were supposed to pay for the duty. Then we applied for a rebate and we were given 15,000 as a rebate. Then we used this money to start a project. And now the Methodist Church now is now providing my juice kuchikoro. We started the project yatakatanga both with some suppliers, my supplier masukore vakasiyana siyana takapinda business iroro. So from the start we managed to raise about 100% profit markup from the project. And also along the way, one of the leaders of the Angarku MCB, Professor Stevens, he brought us, we are beneficiaries of his estate, and it is called Professor Stevens estate. And there's a condition to say the money that we were given, we are supposed to invest it. When we invest the money, then the proceeds should go to the less privileged schools. So we are also enhancing further the uniform project now to even to provide my blazer, my uniform, my track association, so that the basic money, the capital will remain, and then from those proceeds we'll take the money and take the Rana Kutokan Secondary School. We still have the money because we are still negotiating with the suppliers MA uniform. So we are also looking forward that the Western Holding Company will actually do better, because Western Holding Company is a company that has the Connection Bookshop, the Group Burial Society, Wildlife Farm, Connection Lauren, Tekwane Farm. All these strategic business units, they want to do and become very mobile and also being effective for the church. But unfortunately, they all need capital injection for them to be able to work. We are also trying our best to have the airport land back, so that those ministers who need stands can actually have the stands in airport. So this is what the church is trying to do along the way, and also even try to support what the farm, so that we can also have the dividends from this farm. So chaplains say, and the members of the fellowship, this is what we are doing. This is our joys. These are our challenges that we have, so that the Church of God might need to know what we are going through. I thank you very much.